Okay, on to the third strand, quick whistle-stop tour. So communication is vital. We spent, well, we know this, right? We spent the last 2 years communicating over Zoom and having mixed views on that. And we come back together again, like we are in a room together today, and we're going to go outside and catch up afterwards. And this is UCL through the years at various CHI socials. So again, I'll let you see who you recognize here. There's some familiar faces. Yeah, I'll let you pick out faces. And even you get points. So I think this is Glasgow. This was the year before in Toronto. And that's this year in New Orleans. So lots of fun. And, you know, it takes, as you once said, organizing. It takes great effort and stamina. You need great stamina to organize a great social. But we're helped by technology and our phones. So a key weapon in mobilizing our efforts at CHI is WhatsApp. It's great because it works when you're abroad, right? So, and I don't know, the power of WhatsApp, everyone's on it. Most people are on it. I know some people are not, but most people are. You can get it wherever you are, and you get these groups that kind of spring up. I think the first one was maybe 2014 in Toronto, or maybe Paris in 13. But it's been a fairly stable thing, and I love it because it's a group that will stay quiet. I know, Sandy, you managed. I think you actually put the Denver picture on there, didn't you? I think. So people have managed these over the years, and they grow quite organically. I think they often get picked up as the fragments of the previous conference, and then they grow, right? And people get added in, and it's really quite powerful. So Joseph, you're visiting here from Toronto today, welcome. But yeah, we had lots of interactions over New Orleans about kind of coordinate and sharing locations to find each, you know. So these kind of things work very well. Sorry? Yeah, exactly. So it really works to share where people are and organizing. And, you know, the moment this kind of started happening, I just thought it was absolutely fascinating, the way in which the groups of people are spontaneously forming these ad hoc groups, very rapid communication to coordinate behavior, navigate a new city, figure out what to do, figure out where the best talks are in the daytime and where the best parties are in the evening. Very important conference work being done here through WhatsApp. And I remember thinking it'd be great to do some research in this space. It took a long time, but I'm really happy to report. So Mark and Laura, really great patience on seeing this paper through. So it was really nice. It was focusing on the topic of how people use these WhatsApp groups, and in a particular use case, which is the deletion. So if you're on these things, and you write the wrong thing, and I'm sure you're all on groups where this has happened. Somebody's posted something to the wrong group, and you're like, ha. We had one the other day where a parent posted flight details. Like, you didn't need to put it there, did you? And it's like, what do you do about that? Do you go, oops, let's try and fix that and pull it back? Or do you just simply do some of our political leaders just keep moving, never apologize for anything, ever. And so what we're looking at here is those kind of choices and why people choose to delete and tidy up the back. And, there's some interesting reasons, as you'd expect. So things like clarification of details, right? If you're going to meet somebody and you realize you put the wrong time in or the wrong date, you can yank it back and then actually put the correction in. So that's super useful if it's then going to provide an audit trail for someone to go over. But in many cases, people didn't. And, we're looking at some of the things that people thought about why messages were deleted and what other people then think about why it was then deleted. And often, as no great surprise, but when you see a message been deleted, often if then the person deletes it, you didn't read it, you often think it's far worse than what it was. Because you think the bar for deleting is like, oh my God, they posted something that they really shouldn't have shared. And then it's shocking, I know, but your phone, it still receives calls. So imagine this, you're watching your TikTok video again, and you get somebody can call you through it. And what you get is this, well, I'm going to get onto the future in a moment, the current day. But this work was done in 2014, some really nice collaboration with some colleagues over in Saarbrücken. And it was looking at the way this is handled. So for the longest time, the choice was made up high that it's a phone first, and that the phone receiving a call receives a special status, so it gets to interrupt whatever you do. So if you're watching a video, too bad, somebody's calling you. That's more important. So the designers made a value choice there. And what we did here is to pick out and say, well, that's been fairly stable for a long time. We explored the design choice of different options. And really, the only thing that's worth noticing here is this option here, which is that instead of doing a full screen notification, you just do a ribbon at the top. And that gives more of the ability to continue doing what you're doing and just handle in the same way that you do text messages on things like WhatsApp. This work was done back in summer of 2013 when I was on sabbatical at Georgia Tech. So I cleared some time there to kind of get really nicely involved in that. And what we did is the app was made and then it was put on the App Store. People downloaded it, used it, shared their data. And it was nice. We were able to gain some insights from that. For instance, that, you know, incoming calls really do interrupt current activity. So this 33% number you can see here, this is the proportion of calls that are received while the person is actively got an app open. So they're holding their phone and doing something with it. So a good number of calls are coming in while you're doing something else. And then with this new app, what it basically looked at is that you get this nice split between those where they make a choice to take the incoming call. So it goes back to this issue of priorities again, a bit like the driver distraction stuff, which is more important, the driving or the dialing of the telephone number. Here, it's allowing that kind of choice, putting the user in control of that choice to say, do I want to carry on watching my TikTok video, or is it more important to talk to somebody I'm expecting a call from, a nearest and dearest? So you can make that choice to take it, or you can let it just ring through. And that ringing through is super. As you can see here, only 8% of the time they hit the red button to say, no, I don't want to talk to you. Most of the time, we just let these things ring through. I mean, I don't know about you, but I always get terrified of hitting that red button. It sends a signal that there's actually a human being at the end of that line. And you're like, oh, no, I'm going to get even more from this robot-generated spam caller now, right? It's out of control. It's out of control out there. So, yeah, the nice thing is we published this paper at CHI 2014. So what was that, like in about April? And then by the summer, this video surfaced from Google.
That we call a heads-up notification. And this can be used to let you know about something urgent without interrupting what you're doing. So let's say I'm playing my new favorite game, which is piano tiles, and I'm going along here, about to get my highest score ever, and then all of a sudden, I get a call from Marcelo. So from here, I can keep going, or if I want to act on it, I can answer it, or if I'm busy, swipe it away. And then I can go back to my game and get the highest score that I've ever got in public.
Great. So you see the idea. So that's this idea of the ribbon was taken forward. And it's great to see that this has now made its way, even Apple, they've made this change too. So you can actually go into settings for those iPhone users and go to phone. And you've actually got this choice now. Do I want banner notifications or full screen notifications? So when you have this banner notification and you're watching your TikTok video, what you get now, instead of this whole like full screen notification, you just get this small banner notification. So again, your video carries on playing. And you can just make that kind of choice. So a really nice putting users in control of that decision there about how they handle interruptions from the phone. So that's kind of like the three things I wanted to talk about in our phone use. There's, of course, many things I wanted to talk about, but I've only got so long. If there's one more thing I would have told you about in detail, it would have been our work with the email game paper, another long saga paper that one was. I won't go into the details. All I'd say is that, you know, communication, again, is fascinating, how people prioritize, especially in this world where we receive too much communication. And this paper was published in HCI Journal, and it basically varied the cues in which people could see to help them decide which email to read first and respond to. And it did that through this really cool, I think a really cool methodological contribution, which was the email game, where we sent people fake emails to their real email account over an extended period of time, and then they got points, and the points equals money, so they were incentivized, and we logged how quickly they responded, and we changed features, and we could get this sense of like, do you value the really urgent thing or the really important thing, right? And what did we learn? We learned urgency always wins, unfortunately. So just simply shouting at somebody, this needs to be done now, is the way to get their attention, not saying, I've got this thing that's really important. That actually doesn't, so this is maybe a cue for how to get feedback on stuff. that falls into the wilderness, right? We all like to get to important stuff, but it's urgency trumps importance, unfortunately. And so we reinforce that over email, particularly email checking behavior.